Hello guys, girls, and everything else. And of course it needed to like to be orange. Yeah, because it needs to align me. But anyways, welcome to the video that is a little update, where I'm going to tell you about a little idea that I have, where I'm going to stream a campaign with my group. I, I'm going to probably stream a campaign I'm making with 3 other people. As you can see, we have a monk that is called Bike, and we have a Leshy, whose name is Nuts. And yeah, it's in the One Piece fashion names where you first say, the surname and later the name, and his name is Nuts. And for his surname is These. Yeah. So, basically, that's the first announcement. The second announcement is that I'm making my own TTRPG. Yeah, you heard me right. My TTRPG, I have not thought of a name yet. But I'm going to guide you through the process of creating it. And it didn't really take me too much time to create it so far, to the point that it is at. Because right now it will be pretty similar to Pathfinder 2nd edition. But instead of that, pretty much, except for level 1 that is kind of weird, for levels, like level 2, you will have a class feat, and depending on your level, you will also get a little cool thing that is called either Ancestry feat or Background feat. Background feat gives you feats depending on your background, and Ancestry gives you depending on your ancestry, aka your race. It uses actually 4 statistics. It uses build, that is a mix of constitution and strength. It uses dexterity, that is, well, just dexterity. It uses also mind, that is a mix of intelligence and wisdom, and aura, that is just charisma, but I changed it to aura, so it actually sounds more like just your aura, because your force of personality and everything like that, That's how it's supposed to sound. So yeah, that's pretty much the most important things. It will pretty much also use. Oh yeah. Now you hear this. You hear this. Yeah. Every time it's tradition. Even now, when there's nobody home, literally, there will be some like an ambulance with a siren just to interrupt me. Like no matter what I do, I will get interrupted at least. I will get some sounds in the background, or I will just straight up get interrupted at least one time in a video. That's a tradition, pretty much. It's bound by fate. But anyways, it will use the same bounded accuracy system as D&D, which, well, it will be pretty much, which, if you don't read, which, nothing will really increase except your statistics. And about statistics, every 5 levels, your statistics will increase by each of the statistics will increase by 1. And statistics over here don't work in the same way that they work in other systems. For example, in statistics over here, the max in a stat is 4, and that means plus 4. You essentially start with 4 minus 1s to every stat that you have, with minus 1 to all 4 stats, and then you point by your way out of it. Which is actually 8 points, and the maximum amount you can put in one statistic at level 1 is 4. So essentially, that's how it works. And yes, we have saving throws for each of these things separately. So yeah, that's another thing. Um, you also have a very similar action economy to Pathfinder Second Edition, but instead having multiple attack penalty in accuracy, instead of that you will have multiple attack penalty in damage. Which, let's say, a weapon that would normally deal uh, that would normally deal something like, you know, a d8 plus your strength modifier. Over here would deal 5 damage plus your strength modifier. You still roll natural, you still roll on dice, but just d20s. Now there's no damage dice, so we don't need to calculate anything like this. It's just flat numbers. It's just flat numbers against armor class. That is simple because the numbers are not really that great. I wanted to mix simplicity, a simplicity that D&D has in its own areas, and the fact that you don't really need to change your character sheet all that much, with the customizability of Pathfinder. And it has one thing that I haven't seen any other system do. It's one thing that is really unique to this system, and it's encounter building. So basically, there's something like a Goblin Warrior, you know, and with level, the Goblin Warrior is not a character. Is not like a monster that has a CR or anything like this, you know. It's just a monster. It's like, you know, Goblin Warrior is technically like a monster table, more of, you know. You just put level to the Goblin, and for example, Goblin Warrior has for HP, has 6, has base 6, and then I will put it in a simpler term. It's actually, you know, 6 from its base plus 10 plus build that it has, because build will still increase with level, plus 10 plus build it's like this. First you just add 10 to the build that you have on this Goblin Warrior, which most likely will be 2 on area levels, aka 12 times level, aka for example let's say it's level 2, so 24 HP plus 6, that's 30 HP at level 2 for this monster. And yeah, it has, for example, normally set plus 8 in build saves, plus 6 in dexterity saves, plus 4 in aura saves, and also has plus 2 in mind saves. That's still a beta pretty much, you know. That's still playtest material, but that's essentially how it works. Also, we have only 3 classes in this system, which are Martial, Caster, and Hybrid. Martial has 2 subclasses, and the subclass is Athlete and Acrobat. But when you pick Athlete, then to your subclass, aka Athlete, you can pick an archetype. And your archetype is essentially what your class technically would be. For example, you can for example turn the one that is Rager, I think it's called. I don't really remember. We have not really defined the names yet within our small team that we make, aka like 2 or 3 people. because that's technically 2 people, but only 2. That's actually like 3 people, but technically 2 of them are like really committed to it. And yeah, Marshall. If you pick Marshall Athlete, then you can, for example, pick like one archetype that allows you to essentially activate a thing that you would probably call Rage, that is essentially like a transformation. You can use this for a werewolf marshal and stuff like this. That can be pretty good. You have many more. You will have also other stuff like this. For example, like additional like maneuvers and stuff like this, because right now marshals will have things like maneuvers instead of spells. And well, that's a pretty cool thing. Also, if you pick acrobat, then you will be able to pick stuff like rogue and stuff like this. Athlete is all of the build-based classes, aka the classes that usually use strength and constitution. And acrobat is the dexterity-based, aka your rogues, stuff like this, some rangers. But there will be a thing that is called like the mark, which is called the Mark of Hunter. At least that's the name that we chose that far, because we don't want to like copy it to be like Hunter's Mark, which essentially can be used by both. Can be used by like both. And when you pick this archetype, I know it sounds complicated, but effectively it's about as customizable, but it's just for the sake of making it simpler. So if you want to just use weapons, you pick a marshal. If you want to just use magic, then caster. If you want to do both, but not excel at any of these, you pick a hybrid. Then, for example, you say, "Oh, I don't want to use magic." Then you have 2 things: whether or not you want to focus on your build or dexterity, choosing either athlete or acrobat. And yeah, in between that, you actually it is just made for you to narrow choices. Now you have 3 choices at the start, essentially, to check whether or not how much do you want to use magic. And then you choose what kind of magic, and then you pick a specification of magic, like which archetype would be like an actual, like your actual class, while your actual class in most RPGs, TTRPGs, and then that's just to narrow down your choices. The class and subclass are just to narrow down your choices while making a character. To essentially just make it like a quiz to see what you wanna do. And then after you pick your archetype just allows you to pick one of like many options, aka when you pick the raging one, then you can pick what do you turn into, what kind of buff do you get, for example aura or something. And you will be able to like pick additional auras and stuff like this just to make your perfect character. And similar to Pathfinder, pretty much everything will be just a separate option, rather than being some sort of like buff. Most stuff will be just straight up additional options. Like for example, you can have only one. You can have like only one spell that morphs you. You can have like only one polymorphic spell and stuff like this that transforms you, or you can have essentially just one transformation. So yeah, with like barbarian stuff, it does all of the other like spells that transform you don't stack with that. And if you have like, for example, aura from also like your when you, for example, have some aura, then you can have only one aura active at a time. And if you have multiple like passive auras and stuff like this, auras that you have passively, for example, then you can just use one action to switch in between auras. That's at least how I think it should be. With caster, you have initiated and innate. Initiated works pretty much like D&D wizards and stuff like this, you know, like D&D wizards and druids. And innate works like D&D sorcerers and stuff like this. But innate guys have 33% more spells. For example, at level 1, initiated casters, that aka these guys that use mind, will have one spell slot, but will be able to choose every day between a selection of spell slots. At level 1 they will have one spell slot, while the innate guys will have two spell slots at level 1. Then at level 2 you will have two spell slots as an initiated spellcaster, aka one that uses mind, and the one that uses aura, aka innate spellcaster, will have 3 spell slots, aka at the start of each level you will have one extra spell slot of that level. So yeah, that's how I'm planning to balance this. Also, with hybrid classes, you essentially don't get the armor, hit points and weapons. You get like middle weapons. For example, like you get light armor, simple weapons, and 6 HP per level as a spellcaster. As a martial, you get heavy armor, 10 HP per level, and also the weapons that are like max. I think that I should call them just advanced weapons or something like this. But I'm wondering, should I call them complex weapons, because, you know, I want to differentiate it kind of from other systems also. And you have like the middle guy, aka aka, you know, the I was about to say martial caster, but yeah, the hybrid guy, which chooses between 2 subclasses, aka one martial subclass between athlete and acrobat, of course, and caster between initiated and innate. But it works really similarly to Magus from Pathfinder 2nd edition, in the way that they have a bit less spell slot at the very start, and they end up having only spell slots of the 2 highest level they have. So yeah, the initiated guys will have 2 spell slots of level 9 and 2 spell slots of level 10, while the innate guys will have like 3 spell slots of level 9 and 3 spell slots of level 10. So yeah, essentially that is how it works. Well, now that you pretty much know this, also there will be like tables for like creating your own weapons and creating your own homebrew. There will be just like prepared tables. I know that kind of sounds ambitious, and it will probably take a lot of time, especially since I need to deal with school, where I have like 3 tests a week, which kind of sucks. At the very least, 3 a week, unless there's like a summer break or something. So yeah, every monster stat block will be pretty much, you know, a sheet that you can essentially just like, you know, you paste a level on top of it and just fill it accordingly to the level, and you should have a balanced monster on this level. The sheet will tell you one of the things that is in between monsters, aka rarity of the monster. That is usually also rarity of ancestries and stuff like this, which is between common, rare, and exotic. And common is pretty much common, like in Pathfinder 2nd edition. And rare is like uncommon in Pathfinder 2nd edition, and exotic is like in rare in Pathfinder 2nd edition. Now also there's alignment of the monster. There's creature type, for example, like humanoids and stuff like this. Then there's the creature family, okay, for example, goblin in Goblin Warrior. And one of 4 types of vision, which is just vision, dim vision, aka low light vision, that sounds cooler, and dark vision. Dark vision is just dark vision. So yeah, and having that vision isn't always really good, because for example, light spells that are about to blind you and stuff like this will make it hard. You will have a minus to saving throws against like effects that are supposed to blind you and stuff like this. So yeah, that's pretty much how I'm planning to make this system. Also, there are skills for build. It's not just athletics. Climbing, jumping, pushing, and swimming are separate. For dexterity, acrobatics, you have acrobatics, handwork, squeezing, and stuff. You probably know squeezing, it's squeezing, but handwork is just like a mix of sleight of hand from D&D and thievery from Pathfinder 2nd edition. Now, from mind, you have magic, aka, a mix of like all of the arcana, nature, religion, that is all types of magic. That is all types of magic, because magic system over here is way weirder. And same with armor system. You have also medicine, nature, which is mix of nature and survival, society, that is a mixture of, society from Pathfinder 2nd edition, like, which also plays role for, which is just essentially like market and history. Okay, pretty much everything you need to pass law school. You have also perception and crafting, which crafting, it's for all of the stuff where you make stuff. And aura has deception, diplomacy, like intimidation in D&D. Like persuasion in D&D, intimidation for scaring people, performance. Then you have two unique things that are prophecy and charm. Prophecy, it's all of the ritual stuff and stuff like that when you want to contact something, like your supernatural charm and stuff like this goes some way for you to be able to contact stuff like this. It works with fortune telling and stuff like this. And there also is charm, which charm, is charm. What you actually think. While diplomacy is trying to get someone to do this via, reason and arguments. Intimidation is trying to make someone do something by scaring this guy. Or this person in general, and charm is essentially using seduction and stuff like this, using cuteness, hotness, and stuff like this to make a person do something. Well, then what each skill does, you probably know. Build is just mix of strength and constitution. Mind is just dexterity. Dexterity is dexterity. Mind is that was Wisdom and Aura. Still, similar to Pathfinder, pretty much every feature that is innate to your character will be probably using Aura. And that's a lot of this. I know that's a lot of stuff to take in. But also you have your races, aka ancestries, that are human, dwarf, elf, orc, goblin, and gnome. In at least the stuff that we're starting with, from common races, and you will have stuff like breeds, which is that if you don't want to take a sub race, which is equivalent to a heritage, you can take a breed, aka a versatile heritage. While most sub races are usually things that are related to culture. For example, for elf, you have like types of magic that you get. For gnomes, you have forest, mountain gnomes, arctic gnomes, sea gnomes, and swamp gnomes. And for human, it's just 4 geographical location plus central. Which, depending on that, just like Winter Touch Human, Northern is like Winter Touch Human. It gives you like cold resistance and stuff like this. Southern gives you heat resistance and fire resistance, and similar stuff. But it's still a work in progress because there are clans in this world that are divided, that essentially focus on stuff like that. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that mostly just to differentiate between these clans, but also there are breeds. First is half breed that allows you to get benefits of 2 ancestries, but you cannot pick like their sub race. Okay, wait. I need to that one back because race is like a heritage. Okay, because I keep saying sub race because I get confused. Race is like a heritage, okay, or sub race, while ancestry is the race in D&D or ancestry in Pathfinder. Okay, so I mean that's kind of a race, but also we're thinking about calling it a clan because all of this stuff is also cultural, and we don't want to be racist or anything. So yeah. You have, for example, for breeds, you have half breed. You have half breed that gives you benefits of 2 ancestries without their clan or race or whatever you want to call this. For now, it's just a placeholder name. Just tell me, what do you want to call this? Like clan, race, tribe. Yeah, because mostly I'm making this video not only to announce that little streaming series that I'm planning to do, but also to talk about this system mostly. First actual one that is not just a mix of 2 base ones is Devil Spawn, which is equivalent of a Tiefling, except it just works with devils. There's Angel Spawn that is, like Asimar, but just angels. And I'm planning to do like more of these because over here demons are really different from devils. They're even more different in D&D. Because in this world, all of the cosmic things, cosmic horrors, are demons. All of the elder gods from Cthulhu and stuff like this, like for example Azathoth and stuff like this, and Cthulhu, they are demon lords, and all of the aberrations and stuff like this are demons, while devils are all of the like horn guys. So yeah, you got some information that I hope was pretty useful to you. if you will be interested, I'm going to listen to like feedback and we'll try to answer questions in the comments. So yeah, that's pretty much most of the stuff that I'm planning so far. Because this is just like right now base stuff, like stuff that I would put like in a core rulebook on, or or just information that I would spread across like a player's handbook and a GM's guide if I were evil. Yeah, yeah. Looking at you, Hasbro. Looking at you, Hasbro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Paizo gave us 2 books in 1 for basically the same price. I'm looking at you, Hasbro. You're selling overpriced books that are not even polished. You don't have any polishing books, Hasbro. Every mechanic is so breakable, or it's just bad. It's either breakable or bad. Literally, might as well call D&D Breaking Bad at this point, because it's a rule. It's either broken or bad at this point in D&D. So yeah, um, at least from my personal experience of playing with guys that will either like just try to play some sort of monk and then fail miserably, and then there's a guy that is a Hailblade paladin and just destroys everything. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I wrap this up in half an hour of talking. So yeah, probably I will send you a link to like the channel later. So yeah, remember guys, go try to find your own path with freaks of nature. In case